So today we're diving into a topic that, well, everyone agrees is important, but I'm not sure we all truly understand it: integrity.
Hmm.
And we're not just talking about basic honesty, which is, kind of the bare minimum. We're talking about something much, much deeper. I
Exactly.
mean, we all know these incredibly successful, talented people who reach amazing heights only to watch their careers and reputations just crash. And it's almost always because of a fundamental failure of character.
That's the core question, isn't it? Why does competence so often get there first and then fail because integrity wasn't there to support it?
Right.
Our mission today really is to look at integrity not as this sort of moral checklist you go through once a
The
year,
pass fail.
but as the actual architecture of a trustworthy life. We want to understand how that seamless integration of what you believe, what you value, and crucially, how you act, how that is the only way to build influence that actually lasts.
Exactly. I mean, if
Hmm.
you look across the professional landscape, inconsistency is probably the number one destroyer of trust. And the sources define integrity precisely as the solution to that.
And what's so fascinating here is tracing the concept back to its roots.
Mm.
The sources tell us that the Latin origin, integritas, it means wholeness
Wholeness.
or completeness.
Yeah.
It's about being undivided,
Yeah.
coherent. We're talking about a state where your inner convictions, your heart, your values are just perfectly harmonized with your outward behaviors.
So it's not just about doing the right thing when you're in a meeting or in public.
Yeah.
It's about being whole and consistent when absolutely no one is watching.
Yeah.
We spend so much time optimizing our external presentation, our skills, our resume,
For
our
performance.
performance, right? But the source material argues that integrity is this practical discipline of protecting and strengthening your inner life first.
It's what they call the inner-outer continuum. And the analogy they use is, well, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
The tree. A tree can look magnificent on the outside, right? Green, healthy, a picture of success. But if its roots, that's its internal formation, its disciplined inner life, if they're compromised by disease or decay, a collapse is inevitable. It doesn't matter how great the leaves look.
And I think that speaks so directly to why this is vital right now. I mean, the modern professional world rewards speed. It rewards rapid results.
Constantly.
We're constantly incentivized to cut corners, to deliver results faster than is probably realistic, or, to perform just for approval. That pressure creates an enormous risk for internal compromise.
Absolutely. And integrity is often seen as a burden, right? Something
Yeah.
that slows you down because you have to wait for the ethical answer.
Right, it's inefficient.
But the sources show that it's actually a lever for purposeful leadership. And why? Because people are just hungry for authenticity. In an era where trust is so scarce, consistency becomes this premium asset. It's the secure foundation that lets you accelerate without fearing a catastrophic failure later.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, it means competence might get you a seat at the table for a while,
Hmm.
but character is what lets you hold that seat securely for the long haul. Without it, influence just erodes, and leadership, as we see time and time again, eventually collapses under pressure.
That's it right there. Competence gets you hired. Character dictates your security and your sustainability.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, examining historical leaders who modeled this under just immense duress. These aren't just moral tales.
No, they're case studies.
They're case studies in how integrity functions as a strategic asset in these really high-stakes environments. We're looking at Daniel in Babylon and Joseph in Egypt. Their stories show that character fundamentally has to come before competence.
So let's start with Daniel. He's serving in this powerful foreign empire, Babylon, and his integrity is tested not once, but twice under incredible pressure.
Right.
First, the sources highlight his quiet refusal to, quote, defile himself with the king's food. This wasn't just, a dietary choice.
Yeah. It was a refusal of assimilation. It was him drawing a line.
Exactly. He recognized that his personal, non-negotiable principles, what the sources call covenantal values, they transcended the immediate demands of his, let's say, his corporate environment.
Yeah, and he knew that if he compromised on the small, quiet choices, like what he ate, he'd be vulnerable to compromise on the big choices later. It starts small.
Precisely. He made a conscious decision that the integrity of his inner conviction was more valuable than the convenience or comfort of just adopting the local culture.
And the second test was even higher stakes.
Much higher. The king issues a decree banning prayer. Daniel knows the decree, yet he continues his consistent practice of daily prayer 3 times a day, in front of an open window.
I mean, that is massive resistance. He's not hiding it. His credibility in Babylon, his incredible administrative skill and influence, it didn't come from political savvy.
No.
It sprang from his internal fidelity.
Yeah.
He proved that alignment with your non-negotiable values. It transcends human authority. It even transcends physical risk. He risked death for that coherence.
And if we turn to Joseph, the test he faced was different. It wasn't political coercion. It was a highly personal temptation. His resistance to Potiphar's wife was rooted in loyalty, yes, but ultimately in his commitment to his ethical code. The choice was immediate gratification versus principle.
And this leads us to what I think is the most counterintuitive concept in the sources: deferred vindication.
Yes.
Joseph refuses the temptation, he chooses his character, and what's the immediate result? Imprisonment. Not a raise, not a thank you. The pit.
And this is the crucial point for the modern learner, especially for you if you're worried about your career advancement. True integrity often involves choosing principle over immediate recognition.
Or even over immediate relief.
Or relief, exactly. We live in a world that demands instant positive feedback for doing the right thing. Joseph's story teaches us that character sometimes yields, well, negative short-term consequences.
So how do we translate deferred vindication into, say, strategic business language? What does that look like today?
It's the choice to prioritize long-term reputational capital over short-term situational gratification. It means you choose the decision that builds trust and character, even if it means, suffering a metaphorical imprisonment.
Like losing a deal.
Losing a deal, missing a quarterly goal, sacrificing a short-term financial win. You trust that the strength and resilience of your character will, in the end, yield a more enduring legacy down the road. It takes patience, a lot of patience.
It sounds like an investment in an asset you can't cash in right away. So moving on, let's tie these ancient lessons into modern organizational reality. We've established that competence gets you temporary results, but without character, the whole structure is fragile.
This brings us to Nehemiah, a brilliant administrative leader. He had this enormous task of rebuilding Jerusalem's wall. His competence was obvious, the wall got built.
Right.
But his enduring success was anchored in his moral authority.
He wasn't just a project manager. The sources really highlight that Nehemiah modeled accountability. He actively resisted exploitation for personal gain, which was apparently rampant with previous governors.
He didn't take advantage of the poor for profit while they were struggling. He built allegiance by refusing to use his power for his own enrichment. He showed that character wins enduring allegiance because people will follow someone who sacrifices for the common good, not just someone who demands other sacrifice when they line their own pockets.
And then there's Paul. His influence across the early church was sustainable precisely because of that coherence. The coherence between his conviction, his teaching, and his lifestyle. He didn't preach one thing and then live another. That alignment held firm, even, amidst constant hardship and persecution.
And the sources point to his relational transparency, sharing his vulnerability, his struggles, which actually strengthened trust. He wasn't just relying on strategic skill or powerful rhetoric. His influence flowed from that deep internal alignment.
It makes that proverb, Proverbs 10.9, so poignant. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out.
Found out. Inconsistency is exposed. Authenticity is rewarded with security. It is, at its core, a strategic choice.
Okay, so if we accept that integrity is the bedrock, the next logical question has to be, how do we actually cultivate it? How do we bridge the gap between these, high-minded values and the messy reality of our daily decisions? We need practical tools.
Absolutely. And the sources give us a wonderful place to start with the integrity audit, or you could call it a journaling practice. It's a systematic, non-judgmental comparison of your daily decisions against your core values.
So it's not about waiting for some big moral failure to happen. It's about detecting the subtle erosion.
Exactly. The little things. It might be reflecting on small compromises. Did I, subtly overstate my contribution on a team project just to look a little better? Did I rationalize bending a minor policy because it was inconvenient? The key audit question is, where does convenience outweigh conviction? The journal just forces you to hold your inner and outer realities up side by side.
That's a great tool for personal reflection. But what about when a leader is facing a really high-stakes decision? A layoff, a product launch, a financial report. The sources introduce something called the Leadership Integrity Checklist.
Yes. This is a structured filter. It's designed to stop that rush of just getting things done. It forces the leader to use alignment as their compass before they act.
Let's walk through the 5 questions. Maybe we can apply them to a scenario. Imagine a leader is under immense pressure to maximize Q4 earnings, and they know that by bending a safety inspection rule just slightly, they can save millions and hit the target.
Okay. First, they'd ask, heart alignment. Does this decision reflect my personal convictions and core values? Bending a safety rule. It immediately fails this filter because it compromises the value of human well-being for financial gain.
Okay, but say they rationalize it. What's the next hurdle?
Covenantal accountability. Am I accountable to mentors, peers, or governing structures in this choice? Would I share the specific plan bending the rule with my most trusted mentor? If the answer is no, you know you're on a crooked path.
That accountability filter just removes the secrecy that compromise loves.
Instantly. Then the third filter, relational impact. Does this promote trust, respect, and transparency with others? If your employees knew you bent a safety rule to hit a number, trust is shattered. Instantly.
And the last two really force you into the long-term view.
They do. Fourth, long-term consequences. Would I stand by this decision under scrutiny years from now? If that safety lapse caused an injury 5 years down the line, would you stand up and say, I made the right call back then?
No way.
Absolutely not. This filter forces you to think about legacy, not just results. And finally, the fifth, spiritual reflection. Have I prayed, sought counsel, or evaluated this against my foundational framework? And this isn't just about faith. It's about checking the decision against the highest possible standard of ethics you hold.
Using those 5 filters, heart, accountability, relationship, long-term, and reflection, it gives a leader a structured way to resist that gravitational pull of short-term gain.
But we have to address one critical nuance here. Integrity is not perfection.
Oh, that's important.
If you pursue alignment with pride, thinking you're infallible, you introduce a rigidity that's just as damaging as compromise. True integrity requires humility. It means self-reflection and the courage to recalibrate when your compass and your reality collide. You have to be teachable.
That makes perfect sense. So integrity gives you the steadfastness to choose the right path, but humility gives you the grace and resilience to get back on it when you inevitably stumble.
That distinction, steadfastness plus teachability, that's the heart of enduring influence.
This has been a really powerful deep dive. Our core takeaway is so clear. Integrity is the fundamental architecture of a trustworthy life. It's forged in consistency, humility, and accountability. It's not optional. It is the bedrock of influence that lasts.
And my final thought for you, the learner, is this. Remember that integrity is cultivated in private, not performed in public. The silent ethical choices you make today are what truly determine the security and the volume of your influence tomorrow.
Absolutely. And building on that, we spent some time discussing Joseph's powerful experience of deferred vindication, where fidelity led to hardship before it led to success. I want you to reflect on this concept. In what area of your professional or personal life are you currently choosing principle over immediate reward? Where are you taking the difficult, consistent path, trusting that your character will ultimately yield a more resilient and enduring legacy? Think about that long game.